All right, before Bongani looks at the chaos at the weekend, we look at the chaos today in the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro. The opposition in that council have successfully, they say, removed the DA Mayor Athol Trollip through a vote of no confidence. His bitter rival, the UDM's Mongameli Bobani, is the new mayor. A new speaker, ANC councillor Bulelwa Mafaya, has been elected. The election of a new speaker was made possible after the MEC for local government designates Jenny Roestorf to preside over the election of a new speaker. It's very complicated. The DA says this is an illegal meeting that's electing these new posts, and that in fact Mayor Athol Trollip remains mayor. Mafaya was elected with 61 votes in the 120-seat council. The DA coalition is not in the chambers. They left during the afternoon. Earlier today, the DA speaker, Jonathan Lawack, was moved from his post after one DA councillor abstained from voting. All right, let's try and figure out what is going on. Our reporter in Port Elizabeth Jayde Lee-Paulse. Jayde Lee, so this comes as a surprise, although Athol Trollip's position has been in danger for a very long time. Try to take us through what happened today, step by step.
Well, you know, this motion of no confidence has really been going on for the past 2 years, if I can say, looking at Nelson Mandela Bay and looking at that opposition parties trying to vote out the mayor, Athol Trollip, and successfully voting him out this evening and replacing him with the newly elected mayor, Mongameli Bobani. You would know that Mongameli Bobani is a UDM councillor here in Nelson Mandela Bay. And the deputy, also quite shocking. I think most of the journalists in the House were quite surprised that AIC member Chonono Buyeye took that deputy mayoral position. But looking at the day unfold, if I can just go back, you know, council started off quite pleasant. We saw them looking at the agenda and the items on the list, and then EFF's Werner, you know, saying that they need to address the pressing issues and pressing factors that have been coming out in council. And one of those issues that he was speaking of was voting the mayor, Athol Trollip, out and replacing him. And also, since Marlon Daniels, who was the initial councillor who actually passed that motion the last time to have Mr. Trollip voted out, he was saying just because Daniels has now retracted that motion, that the EFF should actually step up and they should actually successfully vote him out, which they did. We saw the speaker, Jonathan Lawack, also being voted out by the opposition parties. There was a bit of confusion this afternoon because we weren't sure if it was illegal, if the illegal processes had been put into place. The DA also walked out at the 11th hour after the stood in place of Jonathan Lawack, the speaker, after he was voted out, and he said that he was going to liaise with legal advisors. He did liaise with those legal advisors, and when he came back, he had told councillors that he was not going to preside over the council meeting and that he was in fact going to leave. Thereafter, we had several delays ongoing, and then finally we received word from the MEC of Cooperative Governance here in the Eastern Cape, that is MEC Fikile Xasa, and a letter was sent to the councillors saying that they could proceed, that it would be legal, and they would eventually be able to appoint a new speaker and proceed with the motions that were on the agenda from this morning. But, you know, just to bring all of this into perspective, I want to introduce or, invite into this conversation the convener for the EFF, Mr. Marshall Dlamini, just to talk about the reasons why they were so adamant that Mr. Athol Trollip had to be voted out. Mr. Dlamini, thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to us. Just take us through. I mean, we've had several motions of no confidence passed against Mr. Trollip. The EFF has come out citing that, you know what, they wanted him to leave. But tell us why. What were those reasons?
No, the reasons wanted Trollip to leave. Firstly, we're here to punish racism. We're here to remove a racist who presided over a meeting of the DA that took a resolution to reject the amendment of Section 25 in Parliament. So we're here to punish racism because anyone who works against the amendment of Section 25 or who works against the return of land, against the return of land to black people, that person is the enemy of the EFF. And Trollip is that enemy of the EFF because he presided over that meeting that took that resolution that land must remain with minority, land must remain with white people. So anyone who does that is our enemy. So that is the reason, the foremost reason that we're here to punish racism, and that was done today.
And just looking at Mongameli Bobani now reigning victorious and, getting the mayoral position, is the EFF backing that? I know that you've casted your vote, but are you going to support the newly elected mayor?
Yeah, we are not in coalition. We are voting for the mayor. We have voted for the mayor of the UTM, Bobani. We remain the opposition in Nelson Mandela. We are voting like we are doing in Johannesburg, like we are doing in Tshwane. So we are not in coalition. That must be clarified. We just voted for the mayor Bobani so that they make sure that they deliver the services to the poor people of Nelson Mandela.
Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Dlamini. So there you have it. That was the convener of the EFF here in the Eastern Cape, Mr. Marshall Dlamini, talking about the reasons why they passed that motion of no confidence and why they have been so adamant about voting the mayor, Athol Trollip, out. I do see the newly elected mayor, Mr. Mongameli Bobani, just stepping in now. If I can maybe just grab you. Mr. Bobani, if you can just join us. We're live on SABC News. We'll try and speak to him and just ask him how he's feeling right now. I think they've just come out of council. Thank you for joining me. Mr. Bobani, first and foremost, congratulations on your newly elected post. Just tell us, how are you feeling right now?
Look, I must be able to say that the feeling, you can be able to see it outside the Nelson Mandela Metro. It's a vibe in the Nelson Mandela Metro. People are happy and people are excited because what is happening right now is that they know that it's about the services. Our people are not working. Our people are hungry. Our people are poor, are becoming more poor. And townships and northern areas, it's bad. There are no services. It's dirty. So people now are having the hope in this new leadership. This new leadership was always telling them that please be patient. Once we take over, we'll ensure that you get all the proper services. So it's not about me, the executive mayor, that must be happy. The people must be happy. So it's about the people. The interest of our people are at our heart. We are going to just get into the ground right now. You see, immediately I was elected, I immediately appointed the mayoral committee because I want these guys to immediately get to the ground. So it's about our people in the Nelson Mandela Metro. So I must be able to say that they are happy and we want them to be happy. We are not going to wait for them to come to us when it comes to services. We're going to hunt them, go to them and ask them what is the problem and fix the problem. This is what this government is going to do.
Mr. Bobani, just looking at the legal ramifications of this, though, the processes, I know that Mr. Trollip has spoken to the SABC and he says that this is not legal. From a legal standpoint, where are we right now? Because I think a lot of people are wondering, is this legal? Are these processes and everything that has been put to place, the voting of the deputy mayor, the voting of the mayor, without someone writing the notes down, the minutes? Just take me through this.
Everything, ma'am, is legal. You can be able to say that. You can be able to see that the MEC have sent a person after the municipal manager runs away from the meeting. Remember that this was actually an adjourned meeting. The municipal manager left the meeting. We have to continue with the meeting because it's a council meeting. We need to ensure that the council business continue. And you can be able to see that when the DA feel that they have actually lost on the speaker side, we remove the speaker and the speaker get out. And the municipal manager adjourned the meeting for 2 hours trying to get the legal advice. When he get the legal advice was clear that municipal manager, you are within your rights, you are right. Now the DA, in the middle of that, the DA come up with a letter. And that particular councillor is challenging that particular DA letter. In fact, the municipal manager thereafter retracted his decision of declaring a vacancy. What more do you want? This was a legal meeting. Out of 120 councillors, there were 61 councillors. So everything is legal. Even the speaker, minutes were taken, and there was an official that was coming from Kokta, takes the minutes. Everything is the same. Now we are not going to argue with Mr. Trollip. Mr. Trollip now is a former mayor, and I'm not even expecting handing over from him because he runs away from here. Wherever you've seen that former mayor run away, marching out of the council meeting, This council has to continue. The former mayor, please, tomorrow, the chief whip is going to organize so that we can be able to ensure that we get to the offices. We are going to meet with the municipal manager. We are not worried about the former mayor. All we are worried now is to go to our residents and ensure that we are delivering the service to the residents. We're not going to argue about the legality or illegal. Everything that it happened in front of you. Everything was legal.
Thank you for your time, Mr. Bobani. Well, there you have it, Mr. Mongameli Bobani saying that all the processes that happened were legal, that Kochta representative taking the minutes down, he was in fact sent by the MEC Fikile Xasa to preside over the council meeting, and Mayor Mongameli Bobani, the newly elected mayor of Nelson Mandela Bay, saying that everything has been put into place, and he challenges Mr. Trollip with regards to that. Well, it's back to you in studio.
Jayde Lee-Paulse. So, Mongameli Bobani, ANC, according to the ANC and the EFF, who voted in today, he's from the UDM, remember, he's the new mayor. According to the DA, Athol Trollip, still the mayor. No doubt legal challenges to follow.